What's happening, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Yes, and welcome to the Moment with MoeSghetti podcast. I am your hostess with the most sis, your auntie, sister, cousin, best friend, always coming with the realness, MoeSghetti herself. And I am here to bring you another episode of edifying, uplifting, enlightening stuff. So, yes, welcome and thank you for spending a moment with me on the. As you know, I am here at the Sherman Phoenix in the TDR Tone Deaf Radio Network station. And there go Mr. Tone Deaf himself going to go make sure that my stuff is all right because people being loud in the hallway, but God bless them anyways. So today, if you can see by the topic, we'll be talking about 20 years of parenting. Yeah, that's me. I have been, this face has been parenting for 20 whole years. Let's give a hand clap to my kiddo and his birthday. That was just this past Tuesday. He was 20 years of age. So we're going to be talking about that. Another Libra, yes. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that. And I'm going to give you 10 different things that I learned along my parenting journey. In these 20 years that I was gonna bring y'all 20, but I honestly, y'all know how I like to talk. I was gonna be here for 52 years trying to go through 20 different things. So I pulled out 10 different things that I wanted to talk about today. It's not an exhaustive list, but it definitely is some poignant things that I have learned along my parenting journey that I hope will be useful for you, whether you are actively a parent or if you desire to be a parent at some point in your life. So we gonna get to that in just a moment, but y'all already know. Before I get to that, I gotta hop in with the church announcements. We just gonna drop the bomb on the church announcements until I finally do my podcast homework and come up with an introduction for. I swear, okay. I sat down probably about 3 weeks ago to pick out a sound for the intro to church announcements, and I came up with some stuff. Did I communicate that with my producer? No, not at all. Not even a little bit, not even once. But it's okay because when I do, okay, he's going to make sure that I get what I need in a timely fashion. And he gave a thumbs up from the side. See, that's my fault because I didn't follow through with what I needed to do. But regardless, we're going to get into the church announcements. I mentioned actually before I jump fully into the church announcements, I did mention that I am here at the Sherman Phoenix, which is where the TDR studio is currently located. Um, and I can't start my show in this building without giving some love and some condolences to the family of DeAndre Dre Lewis. Um, Dre was a security guard here at the Sherman Phoenix. He was a security guard. Actually, I've seen him do security several different places in the city. But most regularly, I saw him here at the Sherman Phoenix. And he was a really regular, steady face. Um, and he's somebody who's definitely going to be missed. Like, even when I come on Sundays and ain't nobody in the building, he would be here in the building, patrol the pass just to make sure everything is all right. And he was a really steady, really kind presence. Um, I never shared this with him because I didn't really think it was really relevant to his life. But when I first saw him, he reminded me of somebody who I have a very poor relationship with. Like, he looked just like him. And that person wasn't very kind to me. But seeing Dre around and just being a regular person doing his job, being kind to everybody as they come and go, really healed something for me in relation to that other person. Because it can be very triggering when you see somebody that reminds you of somebody who gave you a very terrible experience. But it's a beautiful thing to be able to be healed through that just by someone being their regular natural self. So Dre, rest in peace. I thank you so much for the impact that you had on my life and without even knowing it, just by simply being a regular, kind person a regular kind face that we see on all the time here at the Sherman Phoenix. So you definitely will be missed. I appreciate you personally for that. And it's just a reminder to everybody else that as you go throughout your life, you never know what your kindness will do. You never know what being a regular person and going about the motions of your life could do to the next person, because we never know what each person is struggling with on the inside. And meeting a human to human, being kind to someone, speaking to someone, um, and creating a positive environment for someone when they are in your presence can be transformative. So it sounds like how I should end the show, but try to be kind. There is a point in being a good person. All right. So we're going to transition into the church announcements for the week officially. As you guys know, I attend the Central Church of Christ located at 1830 West Monroe. And this upcoming weekend, what is it, October, was like 6 days from now, 16th, 17th, 18th. We are having our minister's 40th anniversary celebration. So we'll be celebrating all weekend with the fish fry down at the church on Friday. We're going to have our annual musical on Saturday, and of course our ministers appreciation program on Sunday. I really, really encourage anybody who knows me or knows anything about the choirs that I sing in to come out to our musical at the Central Church of Christ on Saturday. At 5 p.m. Both of the major choirs that I sing with will be performing there, and it is a free event. So this is probably like the only time you're ever going to see both of my choirs like together in one space, and it's free. You're not going to want to miss that experience. And so I'm really excited about it. I've been in a lot of rehearsals. I'm really tired of singing all the time, but I love it. And I'm really looking forward to this weekend. And we're going to be down at on 1830 West Monroe eating real good all weekend. So God bless. And I hope to see, a couple of y'all there. I just did a feature at Food for Thought this past Tuesday, and it went really well. And I'm really excited to announce that on November 4th at Poets Monday at Linneman's Inn, I will be a featured poet there. What a class. So I have another poetry feature coming up on November 4th. If you missed my last one, then you missed it, because I do something a little bit different for each of the times that I'm blessed to be brought up on stage in front of people and highlighted. So I don't know what I'm gonna be doing next yet for that, but on November 4th, if you are available, I'd appreciate if you come out. It's only $3 to attend that set at Linneman's. And I'm really excited about it. Shout out to Mario, the former poet laureate, for connecting me in with that space and recommending me to be a featured poet. I really appreciate when other fantastic poets recognize the talent that I have in me and ask me to come and be a part of their showcases. So, or part of their atmosphere. So thank you. Yay. And then, as I mentioned before, I'm a choir. There's always some singing going on. On November 15th and 16th, Anthony McGahee and Praise Motivated will be celebrating 27 years together as a choir. We will have what is called the Singers Ball on November 15th, and we will be having our anniversary concert on November 16th. So see me after the broadcast to get your tickets for those things. We're gonna, man, look. Like I said, I've been in rehearsals nonstop for all of these different adventures that I have going on, and I'm really excited. I always say I'm excited, but I be legitimately excited about all of the activities and opportunities that are coming up. So if you want to see AM/PM, if you want to help us celebrate our new single, We Believe God, that has recently come out, hit me up, inbox me, and we can get you some tickets to all of these affairs and all of these adventures. All right. I feel like I need a sound. I wanna say push that sound, but I don't know what it's gonna do, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Jim. Oh, it's just a Mario coin. Okay. Hey, so now, I had to check in with my producer for a moment to make sure that I didn't push any buttons that were inappropriate for my show. I mean, I'm grown and I do what I want to do, but also thematically, there's some buttons on here that I probably just shouldn't just push willy nilly. All right. Anyway, so let's get into the topic today. It's so apropos that I have a Mario ding here because I'm going to talk about 20 years of parenting. 22 0. I, your hostess, Mosghetti, have been somebody's mama since 2004. I remember when 2004 used to sound like the future, but 2004 is now officially 20 years ago. I gave birth to my son uh, on October 8th at the tender age of 16, and now he has outaged me when I had him. And I just wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I learned along my parenting journey. I've been really reflective lately on just who he is, who I am, and how far we have come. I've been really reflective lately on the person that I am and the moral character that I try to exhibit and the things that I've passed on to my child. And I've been very proud of the person that he's turned out to be. My son, he's just simply a good kid. He's simply a good person. He's got manners. He's polite. He works hard. He helps out around the house. He's respectful. Um, he's a lot of what I desire him to be. And I'm really excited about what he's going to transform into as the years go on. But I wanted to share some things that I was reflecting on about parenting because I feel like I have some things to say. Now that I got a little evidence of my parenting skills and how it turned out. I'm very grateful for every piece of the puzzle that came together to create this picture for from my loved ones and my church village and everyone around me who has been able to help me raise this child. And so here are 10 things. I was gonna do 20, but I want to keep y'all here 82 years. 10 things that I want to highlight along my 20 years of parenting. All right. Number one, it's going to be too late for some of y'all, but it's okay. Establish yourself before you have children. Establishing yourself before you have children is actually very important. Establishing yourself before you have children is very important. And if you've already begun to have children, establishing yourself more before you have more children is very important. Um, when I started off this parenting thing, I didn't realize how much growth and development I still had to go in life. I was just a kid. Um, but as I developed through my parenting, I discovered that it is really important that you get some things out of your system and that you do some personal growth before you become anybody's parent. Because you have a whole life that is dependent on you. They're going to learn things from you. They're going to be picking up on your behaviors. And if you haven't had the opportunity to live life, you don't even have much to share with your kid. Um, if you haven't had the opportunity to get to know yourself, it is made so much harder when you have another person in tow because you don't have the flexibility to see the world, to adventure, to make mistakes, to have victories, to save money, to buy a house, to you don't have that. It is not as easy to do that when you have somebody else's life dependent on you. And so it's very important that you establish as much life as you can, establish yourself as well as you can before you ever have any children, so that you're not looking at your children with regret, so that you have more experience and more wisdom to share with them in the first place. Um, I'm a single parent, so I'll never knock single parents for doing what they have to do. But if parenthood is something that you aspire to, I really, really recommend as best as one can to vet out your partners, um, to be mindful of who you lay down with and potentially have children with, and to vet out your village on top of that. Because raising a child by yourself is hard. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how good you are at it. I don't care how much money you have. Raising a child by yourself is hard. And when you haven't established your life, if you don't have a solid village around you, if you don't have a solid partner with you, and I mean, you need the partner and the village, because the spouse alone isn't necessarily going to save you from the headaches that come with, especially bringing a new life into the world. And your village is also going to be able to provide you respite no matter what age, and assistance no matter what age, and guidance no matter what age the child is. And so, by establishing these things, your new life, your child is able to come into the world with a lot more support, with a lot more hands on deck, with a lot more of their needs being met without the people who are trying to meet their needs being uh, just covered in frustration. I there's a family in my church who has begun to have, I'm having deja vu. There's a family in my church who has begun to have grandchildren, and it is a beautiful sight to see that that the new grandmother is very, very involved with her children and their children. And this is a two-parent household. You know, these babies are born to a well-established husband and wife, but yet grandma's around, aunties and uncles are around, grandma's around a lot to fill in the gaps, to offer help, to give wisdom that new parents wouldn't have. I raised you. I know a little something about raising kids, even if I did it wrong. If I wasn't perfect at it, I learned from my trials and errors. And here are some things that you can take along with you. Here's how doing little things like wrapping a diaper up so it don't stink up your whole house. Like, there are just certain things that grandparents will know, and having a full village around you that is healthy before you bring a child into this world is one of the best gifts that you can give to your children, so that they come into love. There was a time when I worked in the foster care industry, and one of the things that broke my heart a lot was the idea that babies were being born into environments where nobody wanted them. Children were being born into environments where there was nothing but resentment and hatred and disdain for their very existence. And so it's hard to begin life like that, where nobody can afford you and nobody wants you, but everybody is just tolerating you because you're here. And so if you aspire to be a parent, or you don't have any children at this point, or you only have one, I really, really encourage you to do as much personal establishment as you can before bringing those children into the world, before bringing more children into the world. Become financially stable, become stable in your community, become stable in your mental health before you decide to add things that's going to put a strain to all of that on your plate. Number two, your kid is like you, but they are not you. Your kid is like you, but they are not you. And I know that's hard because they look just like you. Sometimes they act just like you. Sometimes they sound just like you, might walk just like you, might talk just like you, and use some of the same phrases, but they are not you. They are not you. They are a whole different autonomous human being who has to go through the cycles and the ups and downs of life. who is growing up, no matter how close to you that they are, no matter how much like you they are, your children are growing up in a completely different generation than you are. They're having a completely different lived experience than what you're having, especially those of us who are raising children now in the age of the internet. If we didn't grow up with the internet the way it is now, it's a completely different world for these kids. And so we have to be mindful that no matter how much your children are like you, they're not you. And so it's important to listen to them, pay attention to them, lean into the things that they are interested in and not the things that you want them to be interested in. And I know that they are our legacy and we are responsible for their thriving, but they are not your second chance at life. Your children are not here to pick up the slack on everything that you didn't get a chance to do. They are here to live their lived experience. And we can give them as much wisdom as knowledge as we can in order for them to live a smoother life. But at the end of the day, they are not you. They are going to have a unique set of experiences. They may like some of the things that you like, but they may hate some of the things that you love. And you have to allow your young person, your child, to grow into the essence of their own being so that they are not chasing the idea of being you. You don't want your child living in your shadow trying to be you when they need to be living in the glow of their own selves trying to be them. There's enough of us who don't even know who we are anyways, let alone trying to make somebody else be us. And just because you got yourself figured out just a little bit now doesn't mean that you have to morph this new person into you. No, you morph them into what they desire to be. And you do that by paying attention to them. You do that by encouraging them in the direction that they are naturally inclined, by allowing them to explore the world and be their own person. And always remembering, no matter how many similarities you guys share, their two eyes are going to see a total different set of issues in this world, is going to have a total different set of experiences in this world than you did. It will not be identical. Even if you were identical twins, you wouldn't have identical experiences. And so no matter how much your child is like you, they're still their own person. And let them be that. And it's okay. And use your similarities as an opportunity to further understand them. But use your words to get an understanding that is beyond what y'all share. Because even if they're like you, they still got a whole nother parent that they're like. And even if they're like both of y'all, that still has come together to be its own individual person. So your kid is like you, but they not you. Give them some freedom. Number 3, teach, don't assume. This kind of falls off of your kid is like you, but they are not you. They haven't had all the experiences that you have had. Developmentally, they're in a completely different place than where you are. The things that they should know better, if you ain't never told them, then they shouldn't know nothing. Teach. Don't assume. If you've never shown your child something, teach it to them. Don't assume that they know. Even if it's quote unquote common sense, teach. Don't assume that they know. Just because you send them to school doesn't mean that they're going to know everything that you want them to know. Teach your children. Don't assume that they know. And if you've never had a conversation with them about a subject, it is your responsibility to bring that up. Teach your children. Don't assume that they know. Because they just got here. And each and every one of us are only aware of the things that we have perceived. We're only aware of the things that we've been taught or we've been exposed to. And if you haven't directly taught or exposed your children to a thing, assuming that they know stuff that you've never told them will leave them with gaps in their understanding. And if you can fill those gaps, then give them the equipment that they need to be successful. Where I'm at. Number 4. Number 4 is something that I say to a lot of parents, parents of like toddlers. And they look at their little baby and they're like, oh my gosh, you're not a baby anymore. You're growing up so fast. I miss my little baby. I always say this. There is something different and amazing about your child at every different phase. Look for it, find it, appreciate it, have gratitude for it, because they're only going to be that age for so long. And when they grown for the rest of their life. So learn to lean into and appreciate what is so special about your child at that phase. Whether it's a brand new baby and they still smell like Similac, kids still drink Similac, Enfamil, whatever. They still smell like Johnson's. Or they're in high school and they're making friends and getting their driver's license. Or they're an adult and they've got a job and a family of their own. Or they're in middle school and they just figured out how to comb their hair in the correct direction. Or they're in elementary school and they just got on the soccer team. Or they're turning 40 and they're a grandparent now. Like, there's so many different things to enjoy about your child at whatever phase that they are. Take a moment to really appreciate who they are, how they are, where they are, because you don't want to miss it. It goes by so fast. It goes by so fast. My favorite part of watching my son grow up was just watching the light bulbs come on, watching him be able to learn different things, watching us be able to have different experiences at different times of life. Because whereas we used to love like kites and bubbles at one point, it is giving way to computers and video games. And where I took him, to get on a little bouncy jump thing when he was a kid, we went bowling and he want me to cook him some labor intensive food for his birthday. But things change. The things that they light up about change. The things that they are interested in change. But they remain amazing. And so take the opportunity to really appreciate what is great about your kid being at their age as they make their way through each age. Because let me tell you, I'm a miss trick or treating. But we trick or treat everywhere around this city when we had that opportunity. And watching the joy in a child's eye when you running up and down the block to get some candy is a beautiful thing. And I'm gonna miss that. But I also am gonna appreciate now how we can go to haunted houses and I can hide behind him if I need to. I'm not gonna hide behind him. I'm brave. I don't know. Maybe I will. He bigger than me now. I can. He can. My producer's over there calling me terrible for hiding behind my son during in a haunted house, but I still stand by myself. Do what I want. I appreciate that he's the stature of a man now. All right. Number 5. Let them dream. Let your children dream. Let your children dream. Let them be a little delulu. Let them have a fantasy world about how great. Let them aspire to something that you've never seen or never heard of. Let your children dream. You don't have to be the one that brings them back to reality or crushes their hopes. Good morning, brother Butler, Ajamu. Hello, good to see you in the chat today. Um, because you never know what we become of the things that they aspire to, the things that they dream about. And so when you give your children the opportunity to dream a bit, you give them the opportunity to explore a bit. And you give them the opportunity to change the world in ways that you never know might actually come to fruition. Everything that we have in this world was once somebody's dream. And there's no reason why your child can't be the one to change things around them or to invent something new or to go someplace where you've never been or just aspire to something that You might not believe that they can touch, but they believe they can touch it, and so they will. So let your children dream, even if you've lost your dreamer in you. Preserve that in them and protect that in them. Before we go on to number 6, I'm about halfway through. Brother Ajamu Butler, I don't know why I call him brother, but that's the brother. Has popped into the chat because he's the brother. He's the brother. Has popped into the chat, and I just wanted to say that for the next moment, what? What's my name? The name of my show? Moment with Mosghetti. We'll have Brother Ajamu Butler as a guest in the studio. Well, where the claps at? Where my claps go? You turn my claps down. Anyways, so we're gonna have a guest and we're gonna have Mr. Hilda Hood in the building. I'm really excited and really appreciative about that episode. So y'all gonna want to tune in for that one. All right, thank you. Back to the topic. 20 years of parenting. Number 6. You set the tone for your kids' mood and behavior. You set the tone for your kids' mood and behavior. I know a lot of people be out here like, I can't gentle parent because my kids ain't gentle. Your kids ain't gentle because you ain't gentle. Or it's a lot of people out here who move about the world without intention, who move about the world unconscious about the effects of their actions. And when it comes to your children, you need to be very intentional because they follow what you do and what you say. You know, do as I say, not as I do is a desire of many parents who don't have self-control, but is not a realistic disposition to put a child in because they are taking in information from everything around them. And that includes what you say and what you do. And so it is important for you to be mindful that you set the tone for your children's mood and their behaviors. So if you're emotionally dysregulated, your kids are going to be emotionally dysregulated. If you're walking through the house as a tyrant, hollering and screaming at everybody, even if they calm down and be submissive to that type of behavior, you're going to harbor anger in them. You're going to harbor aggression in them. And you don't know when and where that comes out. Where you think bullies come from? Bullies don't just go to school and just beat up on people because they woke up that day like, you know what? I think I'm going to be a jerk. No. They tend to have some issues elsewhere, some unresolved aggression elsewhere, and it's likely at home. I've seen many bullies be bullied by their parents. Your bully's first bully was their parent a lot of the time. Your bully's worst bully has been their parent a lot of the time. And so in your own behavior and the ways that you navigate the world, be mindful that you set the tone for your kids' mood and your kids' behavior. And so even if you're not in a position to, well, not in a position, but even if you are still working on doing an overhaul of your behavior, little things that you can do now, today, to start with better parenting is help your children start and end their days with peace. Help your children start and end their day with peace. Tell them that you love them. Put them to bed with kindness and calmness. Wake them up with kindness and calmness. Send them out of the door with love and well wishes. Send them off to school with love and well wishes. And I mean, take the time for it. I understand that, you know, in the hustle and bustle of our days and trying to keep up with the routines, it gets difficult, but these are things that you have to be intentional about to infuse into your day. When my son was young and I would drop him off at the elementary school, I remember a number of occasions where we would have a rough start to the morning. We would have a very rough start to the morning. He would be running behind. I'd be running behind. We don't know where stuff is. We got to backtrack. Like, it just would be, you know, occasionally just tumultuous. But before we parted ways, I always made sure that we had kindness to say to each other. I love you. Give me a kiss. Give me a hug. You have a good day. I always made sure that we had as much peace between us as possible because I didn't want to send him out of my presence in a bad attitude, in a bad mood, so that he can transfer that energy into onto his teacher and into his classroom. So that's not fair for him. That's not fair for his focus. That's not fair for his concentration. For me who has the ability to be more intentional, who has more emotional control, to not ground him in a way in which he can be productive and connected and content with himself. So yeah, we would be in a dropout line. Like, hey, wait, hold on. They just gonna have to hunk behind us for 15 more seconds because I need to check in with you to make sure that I'm sending you into this space in a good disposition. I worked with children who had behavioral issues, and I asked one day in group um, how many of them got woken up aggressively, got yelled at, got cussed at that morning. Mind you, it's probably about 8 o'clock in the morning. I asked this question, and the majority of the kids raised their hands that they had been yelled at or cussed at or treated roughly that morning. Kids don't have the ability to take a break and shake that off. You give them that energy and then they go sit in the classroom. And then they go to lunch and maybe they get a chance at recess to run around. So when we send them out into the world with that disposition, we hinder them. We set them up for failure instead of giving them light in which they can grow and flourish in. And I'm not saying that that's going to resolve every single behavioral issue, but think about how you feel when you've been in the presence of someone angry and what that takes for you to change that energy within yourself. And think about the fact that you are an adult with the mindset and the ability to even do that. And think about how kids lack that and how they're not going to get the same type of level of love and attention once they get into the classroom. It's going to be one of 30 or one of 20 if you got a small class. So it is your responsibility to set the tone for your kids' mood and your kids' behavior. And that starts with checking yourself, being intentional, and making sure you're moving in love. All right. Number 7. Give your kids what you did and didn't have. There's a lot of people who be like, I just want to give my kids everything that I didn't have. And I believe that is a beautiful disposition to have. It is very honorable. But a lot of times we think about that in the mode of material possessions. And then we focus so much about giving our kids material things that we don't focus on giving them time, love, attention, and care and kindness. I hadn't gotten there yet. My producer says, and discipline. And I say, I haven't gotten there yet because it is very important that you give your kids, like I said, what you did and didn't have. So, regardless of whether or not you had discipline, it's a good idea to give it to them if you've learned it. And not just discipline, but encouragement and support along along their road of doing what they need to do in life. Because we need it all. If you had discipline, give it to your kids. I know as much as you hated it, there is utility for it. If you didn't have support, if you didn't have anybody showing up to your games, or if you did and you know how beautiful that is to have somebody in the stands cheering you on, give that to your kids. Give your children choice. Give your children the ability to express themselves. Give your children good morals and positive character. Give your children patience. These are not material things, but they are so substantive. And they will allow your children to become fuller beings. So if you had beautiful things, sometimes we don't even realize how beautiful of a lifestyle that we've lived because we take it for granted that people were kind and took care of us. But give them that. And too many times we focus on the things that we didn't have. physically. And if you can give that to your kids, give them that. But don't forget to give them humility. And don't forget to give them gratitude. And don't forget to give them all of the moral characteristics that'll make them a well rounded stand up person. So give your kids what you did and what you didn't have. We're going to move on to number 8. Oh, I thought I repeated myself, but I didn't. All of these are kind of building off of each other, though. But point number 8 is talk to them, teach them. Now, I already said point back into point number 3, teach, don't assume. But point 8 is more about communication. Talk to your children. Communication skills start at day 1. Start in the womb. Actually talk to your children. Teach them how to communicate. Give them space to say the difficult things. Give them the opportunity to defend themselves. And I know I sound so much like nobody's black mama by saying give your kids the opportunity to defend themselves. But here is why. They will need the ability to communicate and speak up for themselves in the world. Your home is a training ground for how your children will be able to operate in the world. School is another training ground, and it's a great one because they got the kids the majority of the day. But like I said, language acquisition begins when hearing develops. Language acquisition and communication begins when we're able to connect with one another. That begins at the start. So talking to your children, making it normal that we speak to one another, starts when they are a baby. And when they move into toddlerhood and they start to be able to form sentences and request things, it is important that we give them the space to be able to do that. And when they get a little bit older and they want to defend themselves and they feel like they have been wronged and they are learning what it means to actually differentiate between right and wrong, we have to give them the ability to defend themselves. We have to give them the ability to talk about difficult things, to address conflict, because so many of us are conflict aversive, that we run from it, and it comes from being beat into submission by our parents, being told, don't talk back to me, do as I say, don't talk back, don't be giving me all that lip, don't cry, otherwise I give you something to cry about. Like, so many of us are shut down in our communication in those areas of being able to speak up for ourselves and to be able to address difficult things, that we never develop it in a proper way that allows us to have smooth conflict with others. And so we avoid it, or we become people pleasers, or we allow people to run over us, or we become overly aggressive trying to make up for the fact that people have been running over us, or the fact that we didn't get a chance to stand our ground. So allow your children to exercise that. And I'm not saying let your kids talk back to you, but redefine what it really means to talk back. Allow your children to talk to you if their tone is respectful and their points are clear, because you'll set them up for success when it comes to the necessity of them to stand up for themselves outside of the home. Talk to your kids. Communicate with your kids. Give them the space, this time, the opportunities to speak up for themselves, to talk about difficult things, to defend themselves when they feel they have been wronged, in an environment where they are safe. And be prepared to hold yourself accountable when they get to that point of like, once you start hearing their opinions, they might have a point. And I think that's what some of us parents are afraid of, is losing control of the situation if we allow our children to speak for themselves. But really, it can be an empowering situation for all people involved by allowing the children to develop the communication skills that will allow them to assert themselves properly in the world. I'm not telling you to allow your kids to disrespect you. I'm telling you to give them the space to learn how to respect themselves. Quick side story. Me and my mom, especially since I've grown, I can do whatever I want. Like, I can say what I want. She live miles away, like whatever. But I respect her. So I'm not just going to talk to her crazy, but when I am expressing myself, sometimes I might get to cussing, or sometimes I might get to talking kind of sharp, or sometimes I get to talking a little loud. And she has a way of saying my name to call me back in, to let me know that, hey, now you are reaching the parameters of the boundaries of communication right now. You're starting to move over into disrespectful territory. I need you to pull it back. But we're only able to develop that mode of communication by her allowing me the space to express myself, and her establishing boundaries of what is respectful and what is not, and calling me on it. And because I respect her, as I get close to anywhere near disrespect, and she, hey, now, sorry, mom, love you. Sorry, mom, love you. And I'll pull it back in. She even on here. She's not even on here right now. And I was talking about somehow I do what I want to, but I still said, let me pull that back before my mama watched this. She called me talking about some, oh, you get to do what you want to. I do, but like, not to the point where I disrespect my parent. Because communicating and standing up for yourself and speaking about difficult things and holding people accountable are not inherently disrespect. And we need to kill that yesterday. Some of the older generations might not get it. They might not like it. I know they don't like it. But it is necessary that you give your kids all the tools. Okay, where we at? Oh, number 9. We getting there. Look at us moving along. I told y'all, and we've been on here for 47 minutes. I told y'all if I'd have did 20 of them, that we was gonna be here for 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, number 9. Give them responsibility and give them responsibility and restriction, as well as freedom to explore. Give your children responsibility and restriction, as well as freedom to explore. There are a lot of parents who swing the pendulum a little bit too far in one direction or the other. You can't save your kids from the world by being a helicopter parent, being overbearing, and being a harsh disciplinarian. You can't save them from the things that the world is going to do to them, and you can't save them for their desires to act a fool in the world by being a harsh disciplinarian. It just doesn't work like that. You also can't expect your children to develop into people who have any sort of balance or structure about them if you don't teach them any and you let them run free and wild. Again, your kids don't know nothing except for what they have been exposed to. And so when you give them responsibility and restriction, you teach your kids that life has consequences, good, bad, and ugly. You reap what you sow. If you put effort and energy into things, you can get something good out of it. If you go places you ain't supposed to go, you're going to have the type of effects in those spaces that you get. If you uphold something and over time, it will grow. If you put forth effort into things, you will reap benefits. And if you don't get anything out of it. Give your kids chores and bedtimes and curfews and responsibility to let them know that they are a part of this world and they can keep up with things on their own. But also give them the freedom to explore. Because some lessons in life just ain't gonna stick until they stuck. Some things your kids just won't get until they are exposed to it and they are able to embody the situation as a full lesson. And they'll come back to you and be like, Mom, Dad, guess what? And you'll be like, I've told you that a million times over. But it wasn't until they experienced the world that it really resonated with them, because before that it was just hypothetical. If you don't give your children any type of freedom, you don't even have the you can't even gauge whether or not the morals and the lessons and everything that you taught them is effective because they haven't been able to put it into practice. And overly sheltered kids, I see it time and time again. You've seen it time and time again. They wild out when they get a sense of freedom. And it could be to their detriment if they don't know, if they've never had to have a taste of being responsible for themselves, if they've never had to watch their own back, if they've never had to pay attention to their own actions. It can get dangerous if you don't give your children any freedom. But it can get dangerous if you give them too much with no guidance, because then they're just out here in the world learning lessons, learning all their lessons the hard way without structure. And so it's very important. Give your kids responsibility and restriction. Let them know that there are parameters of behavior if you want certain outcomes. But also give them freedom because, like I said at the first point, they might be like you, but they are not you. They got to go experience this world on their own, in their own unique way, from their own unique perspective, so that they can actually utilize the things that you taught them and embody the moral lessons in their behavior and not just in a hypothetical sense. And what responsibility and restriction looks like and what freedom looks like changes at every phase. Change with your children. Allow them to grow. Of course, when they're newborns, they're going to be restricted to a bassinet. They can't even lift their heads. But when they are high schoolers, let them go to the dance. Let them walk to school. Maybe they got to take the bus. Like, when they're young adults, make them make their own appointments. You can't call for them all the time. Like, when they start learning how to account and handle money, allow them to step up to the counter, pay for their own food. Give some structure and then let them go. At number 10, ooh, we made it to number 10. Hey, be a human being. The 10th thing that I have to say about parenting that I've learned in these 20 years of doing this thing is that it is very important for you to just be a human being. Be a human being in front of your children. That's probably a whole podcast all on its own about people overexposing their children to things that they shouldn't. But be a human being in front of your children means be emotional. When I talk about it, it means be imperfect. When I talk about it, it means allow your humanity to exist in front of your children. And the reason why is that inevitably your kids are going to find out that you are not perfect, that you are not God, that you do not know everything. When they are small, it seems like you know everything because you know that when you mix red and blue, it makes purple. And that is just like, whoa, the most phenomenal thing that your child has ever seen because they're new to the world. But as they get more exposed in the world, they're going to find out that you're a regular person. So allow yourself to be a regular person. Because like I said, you set the tone for your kids' moods and behaviors. You are a great example to them about how to navigate life. Your kids will do what you say and what you do. And if you take away your humanity, they will expect a warped version of perfectionism within themselves. When you take away your own humanity, you paint a picture of adulthood for your children that is not realistic. And so though they don't need to be involved in every single small affair that you have, they don't need to be involved deeply in the finances until they are a little bit older. They don't need to be deeply involved in your romantic life. They do need to know what it looks like when your parent is sad. They do need to know what it looks like to make a mistake and fix it. They do need to know what it's like when life is hard. and you have to navigate it. And when you hide too many things from your children, especially when they get into those tween and teenage years, they don't know how to solve problems because you've never showed them that problems exist. They don't know who you are and what you've had to struggle through because you are hiding all of that from them. And so be a human being in front of your kids. Be human in front of your kids so that they know that when life hits them and humanity catches up with them, that they are not alone in their struggles. They are not alone in having to prioritize and having to problem solve. They're not alone in adulting because if they've seen the adults around them actually be real, regular human beings. So temper that and give your children the pieces of you that are age appropriate. And if your kids are grown, talk to them. Man to man, woman to woman, man to woman, them the day to day. So that they know your story as a human being who's made it to wherever you are. Because if you are a picture of something that your children want to be, make sure that they know the story behind the photo. And if you are a picture of something your kids don't want to be, make sure that they know the story behind the photo. Because there's lessons in all of that. And I know I said 10, but I have a number 11 that's hanging out here at the bottom of this page, and I'm going to share it with y'all before we get off. Because it is about parenting, but it's about you. Remember, you are a person, and all the people in your house deserve care. Remember, you are a person, and all the people in your house deserve to be made a priority from time to time. Remember, you are a person, and all the people in your house deserve grace. Remember, you are a person, and all the people in your house deserve love. Remember, you are a person, and all the people in your house deserve peace. Remember that you are a part, and this goes for if you are a parent or not. Remember that you are a person, and all the people in your house deserve care. This comes at the end of my parenting lesson because as much as we spend all of our time being mindful and caring and pouring into our children and doing this, that, and the other and being intentional and doing all the things that I talked about and then some. So many parents feel guilty about being a person in their house that needs care because they feel responsible for caring for everybody else in the space. But remember, you're somebody's kid too. And if your kids deserve love, kindness, and care, then your parent's kid deserves love, kindness, and care. Give some to you. Give space to you, give peace to you, give mindful behavior to you. Talk kindly to yourself. Give yourself responsibility and restrict. Give yourself all of the stuff that you want to give your kids. Unapologetically. Because you're a person. And all the people in your house deserve care. All right. I think that's the end of that. I'm going to pray it on out and we're going to take it all out. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. I thank you for your care and your kindness and your compassion and your guidance and your greatness and your provisions for me. And I ask that you be with me, you be with those who watch the Moment with Mosghetti podcast in our endeavors as parents, as single people, as children, that we just walk as upright as we can, as directly towards greatness as we can. Lead us, guide us, cover us, protect us. In the name of the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. Thank God and amen. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all in the comments, John Fletcher, Mr. Audrey Butler, Bree, Prince. I see y'all over there in the comments. I wasn't really reading you guys' comments, but I appreciate y'all popping in. And for those of you who watch the show either live stream or who watch it in the replay, I appreciate each and every one of you. Like I always say, like, comment, share the podcast if you feel like there's something touching here that could be edifying for somebody else. And if you'd like to give any financial appreciation directly to the pod, you can cash at me, MoeSghetti, hashtag MoeSghetti, buy me a coffee, buy me a car, whatever's in your wallet and whatever's on your heart. It is greatly appreciated, and it goes in towards all of the different endeavors that I do artistically. And so, with that being said, thank you for spending a moment with me. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Take me out, Tone.